Luna, a splendid black bear, known for her strength and majesty, experienced a moment that defied the limits of wildlife biology. On a frosty evening in the mountains of Montana, as snow delicately blanketed the slopes, something extraordinary occurred. But yes, Luna gave birth to not 3 or 4 cubs. 5 healthy, lively cubs emerged into the world, breaking the reproductive patterns. Typical of her species, this event, so rare it could be deemed an ecological miracle, prompted wildlife medicine and animal biology specialists to immerse themselves in Luna's remarkable tale. After all, what could possibly cause such a singular occurrence? Typically ranges from 1 to 3, the average number of cubs born to black bears. With a litter of 4 already considered unusual, the birth of 5 cubs seemed nearly impossible, until Luna entered the picture at the Montana Wildlife Recovery Center, where she had been under observation since her rescue. The team of veterinarians and biologists witnessed the birth with a mix of awe and reverence. Seeing 5 cubs being born in perfect health was a moment none present would soon forget. It was as though Luna embodied the strength and mystery, defying paradigms with each contraction, inherent in the heart of nature. What stood out even more was Luna's behavior throughout the process. Her calm and determination were almost otherworldly. Unlike other bears who might, under stress, show aggression or even neglect, Luna seemed to instinctively understand that each of her cubs depended on her. She nursed and cleaned them with meticulous care, distributing her attention evenly. Like a living example of what maternal leadership truly means, imagine a human mother juggling care for 5 newborns simultaneously. Luna accomplished just that, and with a grace that left even the most experienced scientists speechless. The setting of this unforgettable event only heightened its memorability. As the dawn's first light kissed the snow surrounding the center, the tiny cubs nestled against Luna, seeking warmth and safety from their mother. It was like witnessing the rebirth of something primal and visceral, a reminder of the vital force that renews itself through every natural cycle. This spectacle wasn't just about numbers or science. It was a moment that connected observers to the pure essence of the animal world. Few professionals in the field will ever have the chance to witness something so deeply moving. But what no one expected was that this already extraordinary story was far from over. Despite the enchantment surrounding the 5 cubs, something even more unexpected was on the horizon. Those at the Montana Wildlife Recovery Center could sense it. The miracle of Luna concealed even deeper secrets. And so just when everyone thought they'd seen it all, Luna astonished the world once more. What seemed like the climax of the story was already unfolding before the scientists' eyes. Yet Luna, as if guided by forces beyond human comprehension, decided to push the boundaries even further. Hours after giving birth to 5 healthy cubs at the Montana Wildlife Recovery Center, unexpected signs began to emerge. Her breathing, once regular and calm, grew rhythmic, indicating faint yet continuous contractions. "It can't be what we're thinking," murmured a baffled veterinarian, barely able to believe what they were about to witness. But against all odds, Luna went into labor once again. What followed was nothing short of an unprecedented event. Finally, with one final powerful contraction, a 6th cub entered the world, cementing its place in history as a true mystery of nature. The incident was immediately dubbed a scientific anomaly, something extraordinarily rare in the realm of wildlife biology. In that moment, biologists and veterinarians knew they were witnessing not just another birth, but something capable of reshaping the study of black bear reproduction. Yet science, as fascinating as it is, often fails to encapsulate the magic of moments like these. While experts hurriedly gathered anatomical data and observed the newly born cub, they couldn't help but be struck by a sense of awe at the sheer power and rarity of what had just occurred. As if the birth itself wasn't remarkable enough, the conditions surrounding this 6th cub only amplified the intrigue. Not only was it the rare 6th cub, a near unheard-of phenomenon, but its appearance defied expectations. With their traditional glossy black coats, unlike its siblings identical to Luna, this cub emerged with an astonishing, almost luminous silvery white fur. The stark contrast to its mother's dark fur was mesmerizing, it seemed, as though this tiny life carried Not just unique genetic material, but a message from nature waiting to be deciphered. The team at the Montana Wildlife Recovery Center quickly realized this was about far more than an unusually large litter. It was about what the sixth cub represented. Its unexpected arrival hinted at something far greater: potential genetic mutations, new information about evolutionary processes, and poignant questions concerning the role of environmental impact on the development of black bears. As research initiatives began to take shape to investigate the cub's origins, many couldn't help but wonder why this sixth cub. Was it a reflection of environmental adaptation, or a rare peculiarity within Luna's lineage? One thing was certain: questions like these arise only in the face of discoveries that challenge science. At its core, just as it seemed, the very existence of the sixth cub might be the peak of this extraordinary story. A deeper mystery began to unfold. The meticulously calculated world of biologists and geneticists had gained a touch of the unpredictable and the inexplicable, and as if nature itself was intent on continuing its captivating tale no one had ever observed in a bear before. The unusual cub began to exhibit traits. The puzzle was beginning to take shape, and the mystery had only just begun. From the very moment the sixth cub emerged into the world, it was evident that this was no ordinary bear. Its coat, a stunning shade of silver white, captured light in a way that seemed almost mythical, standing out strikingly against the traditional black fur of its siblings. That detail alone would have been enough to intrigue scientists, but it was merely the beginning. Its eyes, a luminous amber hue, had a depth and presence that seemed to transcend basic animal instinct. Even more astonishingly, they were open at birth, a rarity for black bear cubs who are usually born blind. The sixth cub appeared to carry a set of traits that demanded a closer look and a far greater appreciation for nature's mysteries. When examining the tiny pores of the cub, the specialists noticed something even more extraordinary: natural markings resembling ancient symbols. Each pore displayed patterns in the fur and skin that seemed to form shapes reminiscent of ancestral carvings. While such markings could be dismissed as random, even the most skeptical scientists conceded that there was something remarkable at play. Were these marks simply a genetic coincidence, or did they hold some deeper meaning? Such a discovery revived long-standing debates about potential connections between biology and the mysticism of nature. After all, how could one ignore patterns that formed with such precision? But the unique traits of the sixth cub were not limited to its appearance. From the very first moments, it displayed extraordinary motor skills, moving with a dexterity far exceeding what one would expect from a newborn bear. While its siblings remained blind and helpless, the silvery cub curiously explored its surroundings. One particularly striking observation occurred when it managed to reach its mother's paws moments after birth, as though instinctively recognizing where warmth and comfort resided. This raised questions among scientists. Was this merely a biological anomaly, or evidence of an evolutionary leap previously undocumented? Another peculiarity that captured attention was the cub's vocalizations. While bear cubs generally emit low grunting sounds, the sixth cub produced a range of sounds that could only be described as melodic. Its vocalizations had varying tones, almost as if it were attempting to create its own form of communication. The sounds were so unusual that they sparked moments of levity among the research team. If it starts talking, I'll switch to art history, one biologist joked during a recording session. Yet despite the humorous moments, there was consensus this cub illuminated gaps in the understanding of bear biology, a subject that had now become rich with newfound intrigue. As if all this weren't enough, the mysterious cub raised more questions than answers. It was clear that this was far from being a simple coincidence of nature. Researchers immediately embarked on genetic studies, involving not only biologists, but also anthropologists, drawn to the symbolic significance of the cub's markings. While its traits puzzled and inspired scientific minds, the story of the silvery cub also reminded everyone that nature constantly challenges the boundaries of what we believe to be possible. And as further discoveries unfolded, this living mystery was just beginning to teach us more. The birth of Luna's sixth cub sparked questions so profound. At that very moment, the small, that the scientific community was left astonished. Silver fur cub with amber eyes was no longer merely a newborn. The first genetic analysis, it had become a gateway to new discoveries, gathered by the Montana Wildlife Recovery Center, revealed variations in DNA, markers that had never been documented in any other known black bear. This genetic anomaly carried the potential to greatly expand the understanding of the species' evolution. It wasn't long before labs across the UK, Europe, and the United States expressed interest in studying the case, setting the stage for passionate debates on genetic, mutation, and unique evolutionary traits in the animal kingdom. Even more intriguing was the combination of the cub's exotic, physical traits and its seemingly advanced abilities. Typically, newborn black bear cubs require weeks of development before achieving even the most basic levels of mobility. The sixth cub, however, defied these norms, demonstrating coordination far beyond anything expected for its age. Scientists debated whether this was a simple quirk of fate or an evolutionary leap that could reshape assumptions about black bears' genetic plasticity. Could this small bear be evidence of how species respond to environmental pressures? Or was it a rare exception never to be replicated? The scientific implications also ignited renewed interest in black bear reproduction. Previous studies suggested that environmental stress, such as climate change and habitat destruction, may influence genetic patterns in wildlife. Could Luna's unique circumstances during her pregnancy have triggered these mutations? Or was there something deeply specific to her genetic lineage, a hidden secret yet to be uncovered? In the vast web of black bear biology, these were not questions posed lightly, but rather ideas that could reshape approaches to wildlife research for decades to come. By now, the intrigue extended beyond biologists and geneticists. Anthropologists and historians turned their attention to the cub's paw markings, which seemed to bear resemblance to ancient, indigenous symbols. Discussions began to emerge around the concept of genetic storytelling, where natural traits could potentially echo long forgotten symbols from humanity's shared past. While many were hesitant to draw mystical links, the discovery opened new perspectives on the relationship between biology and human cultural interpretation. The unknown becomes an irresistible challenge for scientists when faced with events of such magnitude. Ultimately, Luna's sixth cub transcended its role as a mere object of scientific study, becoming the centerpiece of a global movement toward further understanding the mysterious interplay between nature, genetics, and behavior, and the endless depths of exploration. This cub symbolized the unpredictability of life itself, still awaiting humanity. Yet, as the laboratories buzzed with anticipation, something even more surprising was taking shape, and the world turned its focus on Silver Third Marvel. Luna's maternal instincts, particularly her treatment of this otherworldly cub, whilst deepening its enigma, would soon shed more light on the puzzle. From the very moment, its coat, a stunning shade of silver white, captured light in a way that seemed almost mythical. It was evident that this was no ordinary bear. The sixth cub emerged into the world alone would have been enough to intrigue scientists, against the traditional black fur of its siblings, standing out strikingly. That detail, its eyes a luminous amber hue, even more astonishingly, they were open at birth, that seemed to transcend basic animal instinct. But it was merely the beginning. Had a depth and presence, a rarity for black bear cubs who are usually born blind, that demanded a closer look, and a far greater appreciation for nature's mysteries. The sixth cub appeared to carry a set of traits. When examining the tiny pores of the cub, the specialists, natural markings resembling ancient symbols, noticed something even more extraordinary. Each pore displayed patterns in the fur and skin that seemed to form. While such markings could be dismissed as random, shapes reminiscent of ancestral carvings, even the most skeptical scientists, such a discovery revived long-standing debates. Or did they hold some deeper meaning? Conceded that there was something remarkable at play. Were these marks simply a genetic coincidence? About potential connections between biology that formed with such precision, but the unique traits of the sixth cub, and the mysticism of nature. After all, how could one ignore patterns? Were not limited to its appearance. From the very first moments, far exceeding what one would expect, it displayed extraordinary motor skills, moving with a dexterity. From a newborn bear, while its siblings remained blind and helpless. The silvery cub curiously explored its surroundings. One particularly striking observation occurred when it managed to reach its mother's paws, instinctively, moments after birth, as though recognizing where warmth and comfort resided. Was this merely a biological anomaly? This raised questions among scientists, previously undocumented. Was the cub's vocalizations another peculiarity that captured attention, or evidence of an evolutionary leap? While bear cubs generally emit low, grunting sounds, the sixth cub produced a range of sounds, its own form of communication, that could only be described as melodic. Its vocalizations had varying tones, almost as if it were attempting to create. The sounds were so unusual that they sparked moments of levity among the research team. If it starts talking, I'll switch to art history. Gaps in the understanding of bear biology. There was consensus this cub illuminated. Yet despite the humorous moments, one biologist joked during a recording session, a subject that had now, as if all this weren't enough, it was clear that this was far from being a simple. The mysterious cub raised more questions than answers. Become rich with newfound intrigue, researchers immediately embarked on genetic studies, involving not only biologists, but also anthropologists. Coincidence of nature, while its traits puzzled and inspired scientific minds, that nature constantly challenges the boundaries. Drawn to the symbolic significance of the cub's markings, the story of the silvery cub also reminded everyone, and as further discoveries unfolded, this living mystery was just beginning to teach us more of what we believed to be possible. The birth of Luna's sixth cub sparked questions so profound that the scientific community was left astonished. At that very moment, the small, silver third cub with amber eyes was no longer merely a newborn. It had become a gateway to new discoveries, gathered by the Montana Wildlife Recovery Center. The first genetic analysis, markers that had never been documented, revealed variations in DNA. The understanding of the species' evolution, this genetic anomaly, carried the potential to greatly expand in any other known black bear. It wasn't long before labs across the UK expressed interest in studying the case. Europe and the United States, setting the stage for passionate debates on genetic mutation. Was the combination of the cub's exotic, even more intriguing, and unique evolutionary traits in the animal kingdom, physical traits and its seemingly advanced abilities. Typically, newborn black bear cubs require weeks of development before achieving even the most basic levels of mobility. The sixth cub, however, defied these norms, demonstrating coordination far beyond anything expected for its age. Scientists debated about black bears' genetic plasticity, whether this was a simple quirk of fate, or an evolutionary leap that could reshape assumptions, or was it a rare exception never to be replicated, respond to environmental pressures. Could this small bear be evidence of how species, the scientific implications, interest in black bear reproduction? Previous studies suggested that environmental stress also ignited renewed, such as climate change, and may influence genetic patterns in wildlife. Habitat destruction. Could Luna's unique circumstances during her pregnancy have triggered these mutations, deeply specific to her genetic lineage? Or was there something? These were not questions posed lightly, but rather ideas. In the vast web of black bear biology, a hidden secret yet to be uncovered, the intrigue extended beyond biologists and geneticists for decades to come by now, that could reshape approaches to wildlife research. Anthropologists and historians turned their attention to the cub's paw markings, indigenous symbols discussions, which seemed to bear resemblance to ancient, where natural traits could potentially echo long storytelling, began to emerge around the concept of genetic. While many were hesitant to draw mystical links, forgotten symbols from humanity's shared past, the discovery opened new perspectives on the relationship between biology and human cultural interpretation. For scientists, when faced with events of such magnitude, the unknown becomes an irresistible challenge. Ultimately, Luna's sixth cub, becoming the centerpiece of a global movement, transcended its role toward further understanding as a mere object of scientific study. The mysterious interplay between nature, genetics, and behavior. This cub symbolized the unpredictability of life itself, as the laboratories buzzed with anticipation, and the endless depths of exploration still awaiting humanity yet, and the world turned its focus on Silver Third Marvel. Something even more surprising was taking shape. Luna's maternal instincts, particularly her treatment of this otherworldly cub, would soon shed more light on the puzzle, whilst deepening its enigma. From the very moment of its birth, Luna displayed an almost supernatural, maternal instinct towards her sixth cub, while she was already attentive to her other 5 cubs. The care she showed for the Silver Third cub went above and beyond, although her other cubs jostled for attention among themselves. Luna always seemed to give special care to the sixth cub, close to her body, and shielded from even the curious gaze of onlookers. It sparked an intriguing question among the scientists. Could Luna somehow identify that this cub was different? Luna's behavior went beyond physical protection and seemed to exhibit a rare form of emotional care. Her unique gestures, including long, low vocalizations, appeared directed specifically at the sixth cub, nurturing a bond that bordered on sacred. It was as though she understood not just the visible differences of the cub, but also its uniqueness, on a level modern science struggles to explain. Think about human parents who feel an unspoken connection with a child, born with unique talents or challenges. Luna demonstrated that same unyielding sense of responsibility and devotion. Her actions blurred the line between instinct and something more deeply intuitive. Even the other cubs appeared to respect the extraordinary dynamics between Luna and her silver-furred offspring. Typically, cubs compete fiercely for their mother's attention, often pushing and shoving for the best feeding positions. Yet in this case, the siblings seemed to instinctively acknowledge the sixth cub's distinctive status. Observers documented how the other cubs waited their turn to nurse, while Luna kept her silver offspring tucked securely near her forepaws, a position reserved exclusively for this cub. Was this simply coincidence? Or was Luna's maternal influence so profound it affected even the behavior of her other cubs? The family dynamic became a phenomenon in itself. Luna's protective nature extended beyond nursing her cubs. It became a full display of maternal defense. During one particular moment, when a researcher attempted to inspect the cubs more closely, Luna assumed a formidable stance, shielding the silver cub, while letting out a deep growl as if to warn, "That's close enough." Interestingly, Luna allowed interactions more freely with her other cubs, further reinforcing the idea that she recognized something fragile, yet powerful in her sixth cub. Whether consciously or subconsciously, Luna seemed to sense an extraordinary destiny wrapped within her silver cub's small frame. Over time, it became clear that Luna's maternal instincts were rewriting the known script of black bear parenting. Her unique behavior raised new questions about how mother bears might respond differently to offspring with special traits or potential vulnerabilities. More so, experts began to speculate whether Luna's heightened focus stemmed from some innate awareness of the cub's importance to the broader world. In every gesture, every sound directed towards her silver cub, Luna seemed to intuitively understand that her story was far from over, and as nature always has a way of surprising us, another chapter was about to unfold. It wasn't long before Luna's story and her extraordinary sixth cub captured the attention of the world. As details of the miraculous birth and the silver cub's unique traits began to spread, the media quickly seized on the story. News outlets from across the globe ran headlines featuring images of Luna and Hertz, silver cub, sparking fascination from curious viewers. Reports described the event as something science cannot yet fully explain, while social media platforms turned the cub into a symbol of wonder and mystery from the lonely mountain ranges of Montana. Luna's tale reached millions, inspiring awe and curiosity worldwide. For many, this was far more than a scientific anomaly. It was a rare glimpse into the profound power of nature. The academic world, too, was captivated. Conferences on biology, genetics, and wildlife conservation placed Luna and her silver cub at the center of discussions. Articles were drafted, research proposals crafted, and laboratories raced to examine the implications of the cub's traits with every new discovery. From its advanced motor skills to the genetic markers in its DNA, debates grew more intense. Science thrives on unanswered questions, and Luna's sixth cub brought forth a wealth of them. Beyond capturing global curiosity, this event heralded a watershed moment. For research on black bear reproduction and the genetic adaptability of wildlife, social media contributed to amplifying the phenomenon, turning Luna into an internet sensation. Hashtags such as #SilverCub and #Luna. The legend trended globally as people celebrated the remarkable mother bear and her miraculous cub. Social posts highlighted the impact of human activity on natural habitats and questioned whether the silver cub's uniqueness was nature's response to mounting environmental challenges. Conservation organizations also seized the opportunity, using Luna's newfound fame, to raise awareness about the urgency of protecting endangered ecosystems. Influencers and wildlife advocates alike placed the story at the forefront of their campaigns, urging action to save the extraordinary creatures of our world. Even beyond science and conservation, Luna's story resonated across various spheres of life. Politicians, motivational speakers, and even entertainment personalities began sharing images of the silver cub as a metaphor for perseverance and the miraculous nature of life. One well-known speaker commented during a live broadcast, "If nature can produce something this extraordinary, it's proof that we humans can overcome our own limitations." Religious groups, too, saw the silver cub as a divine sign of the delicate balance required between humankind and the environment. Quite unintentionally, Luna and her story became symbols of hope in a world increasingly in need of connection to nature. As the story spread, the Montana Wildlife Recovery Center evolved into more than just a wildlife observation area. It became a destination for those seeking to understand Luna and her mysterious cub. Visitors from around the world reached out, eager to witness the story that had touched so many. Donations flooded in to support conservation efforts, driven by the silver cub's magnetic appeal. While the world celebrated Luna as a legend, scientists knew the mystery was far from solved. Every new discovery about the cub seemed to raise additional questions, ensuring this was one story that would continue to fascinate the world. For years to come, the birth of Luna's sixth cub not only captured the public's imagination, but also promised to revolutionize scientific understanding of genetics and wildlife biology. The discovery of a black bear with silver fur and amber eyes challenged established notions about genetic variation within the species. Researchers began to consider the possibility that such traits might indicate a new evolutionary branch or an adaptation to environmental changes. The impact of this discovery resonated in laboratories and research institutions worldwide, where scientists delved into genetic and behavioral data to unravel the mysteries behind the silver cub. Luna and her cub story started to be seen as a landmark in the history of biology and conservation. Beyond the immediate scientific implications, Luna's case brought to light profound discussions about evolution and species adaptation. The presence of such distinct characteristics in a single cub raised questions about genetic plasticity and the ability of black bears to adapt to new environmental conditions. Evolutionary biologists began to explore whether the silver cub could be an example of how species respond to environmental pressures and climate change. These discussions not only enrich the field of biology, but also encourage new research into how nature can surprise and adapt in unexpected ways. Luna's silver cub became a symbol of natural resilience and innovation. The historical impact of this event also extended to wildlife conservation. Luna's case highlighted the importance of preserving natural habitats and protecting endangered species. Conservation organizations use the story of the silver cub to raise awareness about the urgent need to protect ecosystems and ensure the survival of species. Fundraising campaigns and conservation initiatives gained momentum, driven by the fascination and empathy generated by Luna's story. The silver cub became an unintended ambassador for the cause of conservation, reminding everyone that protecting wildlife is essential for discovering and preserving natural wonders. Luna and her 6 cubs narrative also inspired new generations of scientists and conservationists. Young students, motivated by the story of the silver cub, began to pursue careers in biology, genetics, and conservation. Educational programs and lectures on the importance of biodiversity and scientific research were widely promoted. Using Luna's story as an example, the silver cub's tale not only captured the public's imagination, but also planted seeds of curiosity and passion for science in young minds. Luna's legacy began to take shape, not only through scientific discoveries, but also through the inspiration it generated. In future generations, ultimately the birth of Luna's silver cub marked the beginning of a new era in biology and wildlife conservation. Luna and her cub's story challenged the boundaries of scientific knowledge, provoked deep debates about evolution and adaptation, and highlighted the crucial importance of conservation. As scientists continued to explore the genetic and behavioral mysteries of the silver cub, Luna's story remained a powerful reminder of nature's infinite potential to surprise and inspire. Thus, Luna and her silver cub's legacy would continue to shape the future of science and conservation, leaving an indelible mark on the history of biology. So what did you think of this fascinating story about Luna and her silver cub? Incredible, isn't it? Once again, nature shows us that it can surprise and challenge our knowledge in unimaginable ways, but now the question remains, how can you apply this knowledge in your own life? Are we truly doing enough to protect and preserve the natural wonders around us? Luna and her cub remind us of the vital importance of conservation and scientific research. And what can you do to contribute to this course? Perhaps start by supporting conservation initiatives, participating in environmental projects, or even educating yourself more about wildlife. Furthermore, think about the lessons of resilience and adaptation that Luna taught us. How can you apply these principles in your own life? What challenges are you facing that could be overcome with the same determination and care that Luna showed? Her story inspires us to look at our own obstacles with a new perspective, seeking creative and innovative solutions. If the little silver cup can defy the expectations of biology, what can you do to challenge your own limitations? Did you enjoy what you learned here? Then don't miss the opportunity to continue exploring and discovering more about the incredible world of wildlife and science. Subscribe to our channel and activate notifications so you don't miss any new content. Together we can keep learning and being inspired by stories that connect us to the beauty and mystery of nature. And remember, every small action counts. How about starting to make a difference right now?